Every time your business triples in sales or in revenue, expect it to go ahead and break. And that's not necessarily because you've done anything wrong as the founder or as the entrepreneur, but it's just more so how businesses are built. The foundation and the team and the infrastructure that you've built to get it to where it is today is not always going to be the foundation, the infrastructure, or the team that will get it to where it's going. And so today we're going to talk about what are the bottlenecks in the first place, how do you solve for them when they come on up, most importantly, how do you continue to grow your business and continue to scale, hit the revenue goals you have, more so with peace rather than just a bunch of chaos. All right, so let's go ahead and dive on in. We're going to start off this video by actually first painting a picture for you, and we'll talk about how this picture, while it may not feel like it has anything to do with business, it actually has everything to do with business. So firstly, if you're able to, I'd actually encourage you, close your eyes for a second and just picture yourself building a home. Okay, if you're going to build a home, I want you to actually think about the home that you're going to build is going to be a nice little one-story ranch home, call it 2,000 square feet, okay? And so if you think about the resources that you'll need to build this home, think about the team that you'll need to put it together to actually build it properly and build it with excellence, and even think about the foundation that you'll have to lay and maybe the plot of land that you'll have to build this home on. Let's just assume that as this house is just about finished, maybe it's fully finished or it's right on the verge, you're about to be totally complete with it. And all of a sudden you say, you know what? I want to make it bigger. I want to make it a 2-story home. Okay, that's obviously going to throw off the plans a little bit. I'm sure the team that built the 1-story home could probably be the same team to build a 2-story home, but it would have been helpful to know that they were building a 2-story home before they ever even laid the foundation, right? So hopefully the foundation's strong enough for that 2-story home, but they're probably going to have to kind of rebuild the infrastructure, right? They're going to need more resources. They're going to need more infrastructure to build the 2-story home. And then all of a sudden, you say, you know what? Instead of a 2-story home, I want to build a duplex, or I want to build a 4-plex. Or maybe you just go hog wild and crazy. You say, I want to build a skyscraper. I want a 30-floor high skyscraper. Okay? All of a sudden, that team is probably not going to be the right team to build the 30-floor skyscraper. The resources that you were using is probably not going to be the same types of resources, right? Like maybe you were using a lot of lumber and now you're going to need a lot more iron and, different building materials. Oh, and also the plot of land is probably going to have to be a different plot of land to go build that skyscraper on. Oh, and then also the foundation is probably going to need to be relaid and totally redone to build a skyscraper that's actually going to be healthy, right? It's actually going to be a safe skyscraper. Open your eyes. Clearly a silly analogy, but this is so relevant to business because oftentimes we as the entrepreneur will want to go build this business for ourselves. And we start off building that single family home. We start off saying, hey, we just want to make 6 figures a year, or maybe $500,000 a year, maybe a whopping $1 million a year. And so you start to build the team, you start to put together the resources, you start to put together the systems, the infrastructure to make that a reality. And as it starts to come to fruition, as you're starting to get closer and closer and closer to that finish line or that benchmark or that mile marker, all of a sudden you say, yeah, we're not stopping there. We're going to continue to grow. Let's do it. Okay. And so then all of a sudden you say, hey, instead of $1 million a year, I want to make $3 million a year, or I want to make $5 million, or maybe $10 million a year. And the goal posts are always moving. And that's totally okay. We have to just firstly say that's fine. You don't have to start off by building a skyscraper from the ground up, okay? It's okay to build up to that. However, in the world of business, whenever we start to build our business and it starts to get roughly, this is not like a hard set rule, but roughly every time it 3X's in revenue or size, you realize that the team that got you here might need some changes. Maybe you need more people on the team. Maybe you need different people on the team, or possibly you just need either, more resources or some different systems or different ways of operating. So today, I'm actually just going to talk about some things that have actually in real life happened with our business as we've recently 3X'd, and some of the things that we're currently doing to solve for that. And also, we'll end with some very specific takeaways that you can go apply into your business to make sure that you can continue to grow once again with peace and with clarity. And hopefully you don't have to get so caught up whenever these things do naturally occur within your business. Last year, probably around July, we were doing roughly 80 grand a month. Okay, so we were on pace for about $1 million a year. And from July into November, we were growing and growing and growing. And it felt like we could do no wrong. It felt like every single time we made a pitch, we were getting more calls booked or more customers, more clients. Every single client we took on, it felt like they were getting great results. We were supporting them. It was life-giving. It felt like everything was going doing well, right? And then call it November, we were officially around 3x, probably a little bit more than 3x. November, we did a little over $250,000 in cash collected in November. And December, we let off the gas a little bit intentionally we just weren't doing any sort of event-based selling. We weren't doing any sort of one-to-many sales opportunities in December. And so we knew that December was going to kind of be like a lay low month for us, just a little bit. So we went back down, and in January and February, it kind of went back up to roughly where we were last November. And so we've like that 3x was not just like a one-off thing. It's like we've kind of standardized what it looks like to 3x from where we were in July. We've kind of standardized, call it $230,000 to $260,000 a month in revenue right now. We're chilling there. Now, I say chilling, but we're really not, okay? I have noticed that the business is not going to be able to continue to scale in the way that it currently is built, okay? I see that I'm having to work quite a bit longer hours, and I'm no stranger to working long hours, and I'm sure you're not either. If you're an entrepreneur and you're really built for this, you're committed to building this thing, you are not remotely afraid of working long hours, but you don't want to work long hours for the sake of working long hours. And you also don't want to work long hours doing things that are not going to move the business forward. Those, keeping the business running versus moving it forward are two totally separate sets of activities. And I've found that more and more recently, I've been working longer and longer hours, call it 10 to 12 to 14-hour days, getting less and less sleep. And so as the founder, there's a bottleneck here, and we can talk about some things there. But I've also seen profit is starting to slip a little bit. We've been starting to drop the balls on some marketing opportunities, some sales opportunities, and we're also finding that like a lot of the extra time that myself and even people on my team are putting in, they're going into deals that we're finding that actually could have been fixed a while prior. Like these could have been problems that we could have anticipated well before we even got to where we are today. And so this actually gets me to kind of my first little nugget for you, which is I've heard it said that growth does not actually create new problems. It oftentimes just reveals problems that you were previously either ignoring or maybe were just unaware that actually existed within your organization. So for us, I try to categorize the business into like really three key departments, right? We've got marketing, we've got sales, and we've got client fulfillment, or other people might call it operations, right? For us, we're finding that there are actually things that will need to be changed in all three of these departments in order to continue to build the business further, and also make sure that we're able to do so without, anyone working ridiculous hours and actually being able to scale with health, right? Because growth for the sake of growth, like if you're growing, but you're neglecting your health, you're neglecting your team culture, you're neglecting client results, like that's a sinking ship waiting to happen. And I don't encourage that at all. That's not a healthy business. That's not good for anyone. So as much as like grow I am, and as much as I want to continue to 10x, and as much as I want to continue to scale, it's got to be done healthy, okay? So what I recently just had to tell my team last week, actually on our team-wide meeting, I said, hey guys, love you all. You all know my heart here is to continue to multiply this thing. God has given us a mission, and we're going to continue to reach that mission. We're going to continue to fulfill on that. However, if we're going to do so with health for all of us, team culture, we're going to do so with great client results, we're going to take the next 2 months and go almost into a little bit of a reset, or more of like an optimization or a refinement season. And what that's going to look like is for really all of March and all of, I'd say a good chunk of April, we will be revising some systems in literally all three of those categories, or all three of those departments. Our marketing's got some things to enhance. We've got to change some messaging on our marketing to be able to allow our advertising to work better and bring in customers at a more profitable rate. And then our sales department, we have been working with a great sales organization. They're called the Sales League. Shout out to Josh Altop and Jake Grant, who run the Sales League. They are incredible. If you guys have a sales team and you need some help getting your closers to perform at a higher level, highly encourage them. Totally unsolicited shout out, but those guys have been great. So we just hired them, and they're actually helping us out with our sales and making sure that my sales team, as we continue to grow that team, making sure that we're really stewarding those calls well. All discovery calls, that they're actually going really, really well. There's a clear process. There's clear kind of talk tracks. There's very clear standards of who we will and who we won't enroll, to make sure that we're not straining our client success department, and making sure that our coaches are only coaching the actual best fit clients for us. And then also, I've got to work with the operations team and make sure that our clients are actually getting the best fit or the best results possible. And in order to do so, we've recently been doing some very unscalable things. For example, I've been actually reviewing every single one of our clients' paid events. And the reason why I'm doing that is because as our clients are hosting more and more of them, I want to see what's working well. What are they actually putting into practice that we've been teaching? What are they not doing that they should have been doing? And how can we make sure that we are minimizing as many variables, as many kind of margins of error as possible? So that way, every single person that comes on into the program in the future has the highest chance of success possible. And so ultimately, we will be revising our curriculum, making sure that our curriculum is easier to follow, making sure that we're actually instilling some different mindset changes as well, because we're finding that mindset is a huge element as to whether some of these tactics are actually implemented properly or not, or if they're actually implemented with confidence or not. Well, anyway, we'll be adding in some different elements into our client curriculum to make sure that we are really helping these people out with the way they think, and also minimizing the variables when they're actually putting the tactics into practice, that there's less margin of error, right? There's less room for error, and that they're actually more likely to have success from the get-go. And if we can do that, and we can put some extra checkpoints in there that are systematically programmed to make sure that someone doesn't get too far along in the program without talking to one of our coaches, that should ultimately minimize the likelihood that someone is not profitable whenever they put our system into practice. And so this brings us to the next takeaway for you, which is that when a business breaks, there are going to be 3 core ways or 3 places it may break in. And we're not talking departments, right? Technically speaking, all of your departments may have breaks or things that need fixed. But there are typically 3 solutions to those breaks, right? First one is you might just need to add more employees. As you continue to grow, it's natural you will probably need a higher headcount to be able to support the new growth. So then the second one would be maybe you don't need more employees, but maybe you need different employees. For example, a director of marketing that maybe has scaled multiple companies to $5 million a year, and they've never really gotten past that. Now you're at like the $4, $5, $6 million a year mark, and you're trying to grow to 10 or 15 million. You might need a different director of marketing. Maybe you need a CMO instead of that director of marketing. And so that would be a different thing, is instead of adding more people, you might just need different people in those seats. And third one would be like maybe your team is totally fine. They are equipped and they are totally good to go, but maybe your systems need revised. And so for us, that's the main thing that needs work in our business right now, is that we need better systems for literally all 3 of those departments. And technically speaking, we could continue to do what we were doing and maintain that roughly $250,000 a month. But that's not where I want to end up. I don't believe that we are called to maintain our businesses. We are called to multiply them. But we have to do so, once again, with health. So there's got to be some parameters here. And so for me, I don't want to stay at $250 a month. I would love to get to $750 a month. I'd love to get to $1 million a month. I'd love to continue growing far past that. And there's no way in the world that what we currently have built would, with the systems and the team and both the size of team and the current people on the team, there's no way in the world that we could not make a single change and just simply press the foot on the gas harder and be able to get to, call it, $750,000 a month or $1 million a month without breaking something majorly, right? We would be really dropping the balls on either projects or client support, or all of us would be literally burning the midnight oil. We'd all be getting sick from working too hard and exhaustion. So anyway, those are the 3 things that you'll be wanting to look out for as you continue to grow, as you continue to 3X. Continue to revise your team. Make sure that you have the right butts in seats. Make sure that you have all of the seats filled, right? You might need to add more people on that bus. And thirdly, make sure that you are driving the right bus. Make sure that your infrastructure, your SOPs, your systems are all in place to support the growth, not just for what you're currently doing now, but if you 2X'd from where you are right now, is the current system going to sustain, or are you going to need to make some changes? If the answer is the latter and you're going to need to make some changes, I would encourage you, make those changes now so that it doesn't become a bottleneck for you later. And that takes me to my third point here, which is that your business, or really any business, will rarely ever fail because a problem arises or that a problem is exposed. Businesses do typically fail, though, when a problem arises and we fail to solve for it. If we continue to turn a blind eye, if we continue to say, you know what, I'll solve for that later. Right now, I'm going to solve for these other less important things. Because sometimes it's really easy to continue to solve for the problems that we already know how to solve. Maybe they're smaller, maybe they're quicker, and we're just going to continue to put our efforts there. When in reality, we know there is a gaping hole over here that really needs solved. You got to solve for it. It's when you actually ignore the problems that you know for a fact are the bottleneck from keeping you growing. That is when your business is actually at risk of either reputation management or possibly simply just going under in general as an organization. Now, a couple of sneaky ways that that might show up for you right now is, let's just say that you're not making a whole lot of money right now. If your business is doing, a measly couple $100,000 a year, it's very easy to say that you need to change up the way of which you're working with clients so it can be more scalable. Oftentimes, you just need to get better at acquiring customers. You just need to get better at acquiring more clients so that you can actually grow your raise your prices and continue to get more and more case studies, more and more testimonials, etc. I would say oftentimes that's going to be one of the first problems that truly needs to be solved for is lead generation and customer or client acquisition in order to be able to get your business to the 7-figure and beyond range. Okay. Once you're at 7 figures and beyond, from what I've seen, oftentimes people will shoot themselves in the foot because they'll say, you know what, to grow from here, we actually need to, launch this service and this other product and this other software. And they start to expand really quickly when in reality, they're only doing so because they're trying to add more profit to the table. See, they're trying to pad profit margin by, I'd say, sell more services to more of their clients. Maybe they have this initial group of clients that made them their $1 million a year or their $3 million a year. And they're saying, well, hey, what if we sold these other things to those clients as a way of being able to maximize our LTV? That's fine. You could do that. But at the end of the day, oftentimes I've seen a lot of people start to offer too many other services or offers as a way of actually ignoring the bigger problem, which is they don't know how to profitably scale up their advertising. See, you could really get to, especially if you're selling in a high ticket service or some sort of a higher ticket offer, you can really get to $1 million and beyond. Honestly, organically. It's not necessarily the easiest way to do it, but you totally can. And so a lot of people do get to $1 million, maybe $2 million and beyond, and they do so organically. And in order to get to that next level, really all you got to do is start to get really, really good at ads and have a better sales process to sell your existing offer. You don't need to go recreate the wheel. You don't need to go sell a bunch of other services that are now going to bog down your client services department or your operations department. They're now going to actually make your marketing less efficient because now you're trying to sell multiple different types of services instead of just one core service for one core avatar. So ultimately, make sure that, especially if you're at that low to mid 7-figure range, continue to just maximize the main offer that you're selling and make sure that your offer itself is scalable. And you might need to change up how you're delivering that offer, but make sure that's scalable and make sure that you're acquiring customers very profitably. And then once you start to get to like the higher end of 7 figures, 8 figures and beyond, oftentimes you are definitely going to need to add some people. And of course, you're going to need to add some people or some team members along the way, obviously from 6 figures and beyond into 7, 8 figures, etc. But you will especially start to find that the people that can support the business, especially in like a marketing or sales capacity, they can support the business to like a multi 7-figure range, are oftentimes not the people that will get the business to multi 8 figures and beyond. At least from the clients that we've worked with, and honestly, I'm just really, really good friends with some of the people that have multi 8-figure businesses. They usually have to make a change with the person that's either running their marketing department or the person that's creating the content or the person that is like in literally any revenue driving position, especially like a sales leader or sales manager. There are people changes that will really help you get to that 8-figure level and beyond. So anyway, those are just a few things you could be on the lookout for. Obviously, every business is different. And so the problems or bottlenecks may show up slightly differently, but I can guarantee you they're all going to fall in one of those 3 categories. Once again, either infrastructure/systems, more people, or different people. And so to end this episode, I want to make sure that you have a very clear takeaway, which is if you're in the bucket where you're currently growing with no problem, I would say continue to keep your foot on the gas, right? Continue to maximize what's working, but make sure that you have, I'd say either every week or maybe every other week, maybe it's once a month, make sure that you have some time where you can actually sit down, especially with your team, and look at all of the core departments, marketing, sales, fulfillment, or operations, and see, hey, what's breaking? Where are we dropping the balls? Are our deadlines getting tighter? Are we going past deadlines a lot of the times? Are client results slipping? Like, continue to revise and look at this with your whole team. Make sure that everyone is kind of being able to put in their say and saying, hey, there's a big gapping hole over here. And if we triple right now, if we triple our run rate, we're going to be in big problems if we don't fix this now. And so make sure that you are not just meeting with your team, and actually hearing them out, but then actually doing something about it, making sure that you can fix those problems before they actually become problems. And then if you're in the other boat, which is maybe you already have kind of stalled out, maybe you are already feeling like you are just burning the midnight oil, you're working 20 times harder than you were a year ago, and your profit margin's not showing for it, and like your revenue might be a little bit up, maybe 2, 3, 4x from where it was about a year ago, but you know darn good and well this is not sustainable and not scalable. If that's the case, you are probably working so hard because you're trying to make up for all of the problems that you've previously been ignoring. And so I would encourage you, it's okay. Temporarily take your foot off the gas. Temporarily say, hey, let's end the push season just for a couple months. Let's revise some of these systems. Let's add new employees. Let's swap out some of the team members. Do whatever you have to do to fix some of those problems so that you could continue to scale with peace rather than, once again, just so much chaos and exhaustion. And also, depending on what stage of business you're at, especially if you're selling a higher ticket service, if you know that one of your biggest bottlenecks right now is customer acquisition, or maybe you're taking a lot of sales calls and you're just burnt out and you're like, man, I'm going to have to build a full-on sales team. I will say, shameless plug, if you're new here, I do run paidevents.com. And paidevents.com, our entire ethos around our business over here is we help businesses have higher leveraged ways to sell their services. And ultimately, what I mean by that in practical terms, how do you go from selling one-on-one all day long, your multi-thousand-dollar services, and how do you instead pitch or sell and convert your multi-thousand-dollar services in a one-to-many environment, right? So what that looks like with paid events is that we help you actually sell tickets, usually very cheap, very affordable tickets, call it $7 or $9, where you create this environment where a bunch of people, ideally your target audience, says, hey, yeah, take my money. I'd happily pay to attend this upcoming virtual event that you're going to be hosting. And then we actually teach you not just how to fill up the event, not just how to sell tickets, but also how do you actually create a buying environment during that event where you can deliver some really strong, very powerful presentations that will change someone's mindset, change the way they're operating, and be able to see how your path or how your solution is different and better than all of the other solutions they've tried out there to either solve their, whatever problem they're up against. And then we teach you how to actually convert those ticket purchasers, convert those attendees into higher paying customers, all in a matter of one signature event. So that's all what we do over here, okay? And so obviously, if you're looking to scale up at more of an exponential one-to-many route, shameless plug, go to paidevents.com. I'm sure we have a link in the description. You could go ahead and book a call with someone from our team and learn a little bit more about what that might look like for your business, if that would even make sense for you right now in your stage. And lastly, if you're new here, boy, am I happy to have you here. Welcome to the channel. My name is Zach Hesterberg. Obviously, I just mentioned I run paidevents.com. We have about 2 episodes every single week that we'll be dropping for you live every Tuesday and Friday. Today's episode was a little bit of a different episode, but it was a Tuesday episode. What I mean by that is Tuesday episodes are very practical business lessons, usually centered around revenue generation. Okay, what can you go do? What can you go deploy into your business so that you can continue to scale up your revenue, continue to multiply your business? And then Friday episodes, those are very faith-forward Friday episodes. That's what we like to call them. And faith-forward Friday episodes are really just taking some scripture from the Bible, good old Bible. Yes, that's the book for me. And we will unpack that scripture and talk about how that can actually be applied into how you as an entrepreneur are leading your team, how you're building your business, and ultimately how you are making waves in the marketplace. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, I would invite you, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn post notifications on, and welcome to the channel. Obviously, we are just getting started around here. And obviously, if you are a returning subscriber, welcome on back. You guys know how much I appreciate your support. Always say, drop in a message in the good old YouTube comments. I do read and respond to every single comment. Want to learn about a little bit more about, what are you up to in business? What are you trying to solve for? Is there any sort of content I can, create for you or record for you in the future that would continue to, serve and love on you guys? So otherwise, that's about all I have for you. So much love. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Peace.